Welcome to our channel. Please kindly hit the subscribe button for more videos.
Coronavirus, also known as COVID-19. About 20 years ago, a prolific fiction, suspense and thriller author, Dean Koontz, a Chinese, wrote a book with the title The Eyes of Darkness. In that novel, Dean did write of the creation, manufacturing or bring into being a biological weapon, you can call it a virus, by no other quarter but a vociferous Chinese military laboratory with the aim of wiping out any offending city, state or nation. Koontz, in that book, also does allege that using such a weapon to level a city is very effective and less expensive, as the Chinese military, will not need to expend funds to clean it up afterwards before moving in. Guess what he calls that biological weapon? Wuhan 400. Fast forward to 2019. It was on the 31st of December, 2019 that the World Health Organization first made mention of a very fatal virus, which previously hid under the guise of a simple flu, pneumonia, etc., and originated in the same Wuhan city, in the east of China, which houses approximately 11 million persons. The virus manifests as severe acute respiratory symptom. However, in February 2020, the World Health Organization changed the name to COVID-19, another center of controversy because they believe the change of name has some negative intentions and impacts on certain nations and people. COVID-19 originally infected a few and killed a handful, too. But as of today, Wednesday 19, 2020, the infection rate has gone up to about 70,000 people and the death toll is about 1,500 persons. Russia accuses the United States of being the creator and sponsor of COVID-19, aka coronavirus. Another very interesting controversy around this virus is that the primetime news programs in Russia has made allusions, metaphors and indirect accusations that COVID-19 is US's handiwork. Meaning of corona. In Latin and Russia, corona depicts crown. This is one reason some pundits believe that Donald Trump, the US president, has a question to answer on this. Not forgetting that the naming of the virus corona by scientists was because of its crown-looking shape. Again, don't also forget that, according to some of Donald Trump accusers, that the US president was always involved in pageantry in which he carried out the symbolic crowning of the winners. Suffice to point out that the recent economic and trade disagreements between US and China may also be why the former is sponsoring the virus. An angle to the controversy is that the giant Western pharmaceutical companies are the manufacturers of COVID-19 to maximize their economic gains. The United States reaction and China accusations. The US, in January 2020, had raised alarm, warning citizens and travelers of the enormity of danger posed by COVID-19. Donald Trump's government had actually pronounced a public health emergency, and denied foreign nationals who previously visited China 2 weeks earlier. In their reaction, the Chinese government officials and agencies have condemned such a fear-laden reaction by the US, and China has gone a step further to accuse the US of creating unnecessary panic. In fact, Hua Chunying, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman, says Donald Trump has refused to offer the country help. Instead, China's role in creating the virus. The speech made by President Xi Jinping of China is alleged to betray the information that Chinese government had in hindsight into the outbreak prior to its outset. Several other countries like Hong Kong, Russia, Australia, etc. have placed varying travel bans and restrictions on visitors, as well as foreigners who would have recently visited China. However, the original suspicion that coronavirus emanated from bats, but later had its pathogens transmitted from other animals to man, still holds sway. Coronavirus controversy in the football world. An English footballer, Dele Alli, who plays for Tottenham Hotspur, did recently post a video that suggested an Asian man would have contacted coronavirus. The video elicited condemnations on social media that made Alli look like a racist. Jose Mourinho, his coach who earlier joined in to condemn Dele, has now justified his player, after the later rendered unreserved apology and clarified his intentions. Again, a Juventus lead player, Gigi Buffon, aka the Cat, while autographing for fans after a match did say, "I'm watching you, eh? Corona, eh? Damn, are you from Wuhan?" This almost painted him as being rude and unemphatic, but not that he did fondly play with the fan. Conclusion. What exactly is your opinion on COVID-19, former coronavirus? Is it artificial, that's man-made, or accidental, that is an act of God, or scientific? What exactly is your take? Do drop your opinion. Medically reviewed by Cameron White, MD, mile per hour on February 20, 2020. New, written by Tim Jewell. Symptoms. Causes. Risk factors. Diagnosis. Treatment. Complications. Prevention. Coronavirus types. Outlook. In early 2020, a new kind of virus began generating headlines all over the world because of the unprecedented speed of its transmission. From its origins in a food market in Wuhan, China in December 2019 to countries as far-flung as the United States and the Philippines, the virus, officially named COVID-19, has infected tens of thousands, with a rising death toll now over 2,000. But in spite of the global panic in the news about this virus, you are unlikely to contract COVID-19 unless you've been in contact with someone who's recently traveled to certain parts of China. There's no need to worry about the 2019 coronavirus if you haven't recently traveled to China or been in contact with someone who's been diagnosed with the virus. Let's bust some myths. Read on to learn how this coronavirus is spread, how it's similar and different from other coronaviruses, and how to prevent spreading it to others if you suspect you've caught this virus. Information on the new coronavirus is coming out rapidly. Accuracy of the following information is subject to change. To stay up to date, check here. What are the symptoms? Doctors are learning new things about this virus every day. So far we know that COVID-19 may not initially cause any symptoms. You may carry the virus for 2 days or up to 2 weeks. Trusted source before you notice symptoms. Some common symptoms that have been specifically linked to the 2019 coronavirus include feeling short of breath, having a cough that gets more severe over time, a low-grade fever that gradually increases in temperature. The full list of symptoms are still being investigated. When to seek help. If you experience any of the symptoms above and have traveled to China in the past 14 days, or have been in close contact with someone with confirmed COVID-19 within the last 14 days, call your doctor right away. COVID-19 versus the flu. The symptoms of COVID-19 are similar to that of the influenza, flu, virus. The flu virus is much more common and much more deadly than the 2019 coronavirus. At least 6.8% trusted source of people who developed the flu during the 2019 to 2020 flu season in the United States have died, as of February 2020, compared to around 2% trusted source of those diagnosed with the 2019 coronavirus. Here are some common symptoms of a flu infection. Cough. Runny or stuffy nose. Sneezing. Sore throat. Fever. Headache. Fatigue. Chills. Body aches. What causes coronaviruses? Coronaviruses are zoonotic. This means they first develop in animals before developing in humans. For the virus to pass from animal to humans, a person has to come into close contact with an animal that carries the infection. Once the virus develops in people, coronaviruses can be spread from person to person through respiratory droplets. This is a technical name for the wet stuff that moves through the air when you cough or sneeze. The viral material hangs out in these droplets and can be breathed into the respiratory tract, your windpipe and lungs, where the virus can then lead to an infection. The 2019 coronavirus hasn't been definitively linked to a specific animal. But researchers believe that the virus may have been passed from bats to another animal, either snakes or pangolins, and then transmitted to humans. This transmission likely occurred in the open food market in Wuhan, China. Who's at increased risk? You're at a high risk for developing this virus if you come into contact with someone who's carrying it, especially if you've been exposed to their saliva or been near them when they've coughed or sneezed. Washing your hands and disinfecting surfaces can help decrease your risk for catching this or other viruses. Older men seem to be especially susceptible to the virus. A report by the World Health Organization (WHO) trusted source found that the median age of people testing positive for this coronavirus was around 45 years, and that over 2/3 of those people were male. Powered by Rubicon Project. How are coronaviruses diagnosed? The 2019 coronavirus can be diagnosed similarly to other viral infections, using a blood, saliva, or tissue sample. In the United States, only the trusted source currently has the ability to diagnose a COVID-19 infection. Talk to your doctor right away if you think you have a coronavirus infection, especially if you've traveled to China in the past 14 days. Your doctor will speak to local public health officials to provide guidance on whether testing for the virus is needed. A lab technician will either draw a sample of your blood with a needle or use a cotton swab to take a small sample of saliva or respiratory secretions from your nose or the back of your throat. The sample is then sent to a testing facility to confirm the presence of viral material or antibodies that respond to the virus. What treatments are available? There's currently no treatment specifically approved for the 2019 coronavirus, and no cure for an infection, although treatments and vaccines are currently under study. Instead, treatment focuses on managing symptoms as the virus runs its course. Seek immediate medical help if you think you have COVID-19. Your doctor will recommend treatment for any symptoms or complications that develop. Other coronaviruses like SARS and MERS do have vaccines and treatments. Some treatments for these similar viruses include antiviral or retroviral medications, breathing support like mechanical ventilation, steroids to reduce lung swelling, blood plasma transfusions. The best way to prevent the spread of this virus is to avoid or limit contact with people who are showing symptoms of the virus and have traveled to China in the past 14 days. The next best thing you can do is practice good hygiene to prevent bacteria and viruses from spreading. Wash your hands frequently for at least 20 seconds at a time with warm water and soap. Don't touch your face, eyes, nose, or mouth when your hands are dirty. Don't go out if you're feeling sick or have any cold or flu symptoms. Cover your mouth with the inside of your elbow whenever you sneeze or cough. Throw away any tissues you use to blow your nose or sneeze right away. Keep any objects you touch a lot clean. Use disinfectants on objects like phones, computers, utensils, dishware,